Hi again, I'm back, and this time I'm going to do Suzuki Book 2, song number 10, Gavotte by Lully. And this is also for violin and viola, but there are a couple differences in this piece. The piece is exactly the same. The way you have to read it is a little bit tricky. So this is a great big sandwich song. In fact, the first five-ish lines are the same as the last five lines. So that is actually kind of nice. I'm going to play through the first five lines just so you can hear it. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about one section that has a funny rhythm. And then there's shifting, which is cool. And violas get to learn treble clef. So you're going to be able to read all the violin music from here on out. Okay. So I'm going to play through about five lines. One and a half. One and a half. All right, so I just ended right on the downbeat of measure 21. I don't know if you heard me, but there's one section where I said one and a half. Okay, first off, I have to say, violins, you have nothing in the key signature, so you're going to have squishy twos. You'll also have a backwards first finger. So first finger on the E string pulled backwards towards the scroll. That's because this right on the tape, I know I don't have a tape, this right on the tape is an F sharp. We want an F not sharped or F natural. Viola's in your key signature of a B flat, and that's the same thing. So squishy 2 on the D string, squishy 2 on the A string, first finger pulled backwards on the A string for a B flat. All right, so at measure 10, we have a quarter note that has a dot. No, I lied. Measure 9. We have a quarter note that has a dot, and a quarter note is usually one beat. The dot adds half of one beat, so it's 1 plus half of 1, or 1 plus a half, or a total of 1.5 beats. So measure 9 sounds like this. 1.5. Okay. So the next measure has also a dotted quarter note, so 1.5 beat note. But what follows it, instead of an eighth note, is 2/16 notes. So they just took the last length of the last note and they broke it out. So that would sound like this. Measure 10. 1.5. So the difference was 1.5 and 1.5. All right. Then measure 12, we have quarter note, quarter note, quarter note, not a dotted quarter note anymore. So you've got 3 one-beat notes. And then where we used to have the dot after the quarter note, they have put in a separate eighth note and finished up with the 2/16. So that sounds like this, measure 11. So that's the tricky part with the rhythms. Okay, the very last note in measure 20 has a TR over the top of it. A TR is not a tremolo. Instead, it's a trill, which means play the note that's written. So for violins, it's a B. For violas, it's an E. First finger on the D string. You're going to play the note that's written. So I'm lifting. My bow continues in one long stroke, and I'm going to play a 1 and add the next note higher. So in this case, it's a squishy 2. So 1 to squishy 2 to 1 to squishy 2 to 1 to squishy 2, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. Okay, that's what TR means. It's a bird trill or like a bird song. Okay. Now at 21, really 22, we have a little bit of a tricky part. We have climbing up the scale. High 2. And then no matter what your book says, we are going to shift into third position. Now, everybody knows third position from night shift. So we're going to slide our hand. So our first finger is where our third finger was. So these are the 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th notes in measure 22. Your first finger will be where your third finger used to be. We're going to play the notes 1, 3, 2, 1. So I was climbing up the scale. Shift your hand. And then we slide back down to first position, and we're normal, but we've got some weird notes. We've got a high 2, backwards behind the tape 1. Now for violin, the second line is the same. And technically for viola, the first note is the same, or the second line is the same. But when you play viola and you're looking at this and you get to measure 26, it says 0 above the note. And it has a treble clef, G clef sign. All right. So all of a sudden you are asked to play the viola, but you're reading violin clef. What I'm going to tell you is that section, measure 26 and 27, is exactly the same as measure 22 and 23. So even though it looks like you're going to play 2 fingers on the G string for violas in measure 26, that note there, that first note is an open A. The next note is a 1. The next note is a high 2. The next note is an open A. The next note is shifted. So it's going to be first finger in third position on the A string, 3, 2, 1. And then in measure 27, you shift down. So you're in first position on the A string with 2 fingers. Backwards 1, open A, 3 on the D string, and then you go back to normal viola clef, alto clef. That is confusing. That is really confusing. I always say it's a brain game. You have to be super smart to be able to do it, but I know you can all do it. Okay? There's one other shift in this piece. That's definitely something, violas, if you need to get in touch with me. If you can't quite figure that out, I can talk you through it. There's one other shift here. So you're going to play along until you get to measure 31. Okay? The first note in measure 31 is an open top string. So violins, you play an E. Violas, you play an A. The second note is the same note. So if you look at it, it's exactly the same space. So it's an open A or an open E, but it says use your second finger. Now, if it doesn't say use your second finger, I do want you to use your second finger also. All right, so you can't play an open E on the E string with 2 fingers. If you put any fingers on the E string, it's going to sound higher than an open E. So what we need to do is play 2 fingers. Let's see, there you go, 2 fingers in third position on your lower string. So violas, you're going to be on your D string, third position, 1 finger, and then add your 2. violins, you're going to be in third position, one finger on the A string, and then add your 2. So you will be in third position for the second note in measure 31, and the fingering is this: 2, 3, 2, 3, 1, 2, 1, 2. Then you're going to slide back down, and you're going to be in first position and finish up the piece. All right, that is confusing. I know it is, and I'm sorry we're not together for us to do it in person. All right, so this one's a pretty long lesson. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take, because I was teaching on the violin, I'm going to go ahead and play this one on the viola, and I'm going to play straight through. Okay. Violas, it's hard work, I know, but the nice thing about this one is that it allows you to play any violin music that you want. So it's actually really kind of cool. Actually, I'm going to turn this a little bit. That way maybe you can see my hand a little better. It works. All right, here we go. I'm going to go straight through Gavotte, song number 10, Luli. Here's your counting. 1 1/2. 1 1/2. Here's your trill. 1 to a 2. Down, down, and tie. Tie 2, shift. Shift back. Open A, shift. Shift back. Open A, shift to third position on the D string. Shift back. Fermata. Woohoo! Only 2 more songs in the book.